What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and I almost missed this. Cards Against Humanity apparently is canceled. You know, the company in and of itself is one of the most woke institutions I've ever seen. They bought land to try and block Trump's wall. They're constantly virtue signaling. And oopsie doopsie poopsie, it looks like it's run by terrible people. Who could have foreseen this? Seriously, who could have foreseen this? I mean, obviously all of you, my viewers, but I mean, who else could it be? But I want to take this moment just to remind or ask, hey, almost 40% of my viewers aren't subscribed. If you enjoy this video or the commitment to coverage that you get on this channel, I hope that today is the day I earn your subscription simply by you hitting that little red button below the video to subscribe. It just makes getting my videos easier. And it helps new people find the channel because YouTube thinks people actually care about what I have to say. So please consider it. Now, Anita Sarkeesian, the coffers must be gone because apparently there is a trending hashtag that says Cards Against Humanity is over. Now that there's great traction on the Second City is Over party, I want us to turn our focus onto another beloved Chicago institution, hashtag Cards Against Humanity. As their first black woman employee, I love to share my experience working there. And you can see Anita Sarkeesian jumping on. Max Temkin is a terrible person, and I've been complicit. Oh my God! It's so good. I needed this today. Please believe me. This is so good. I mean, delicious. Anita knew the guy was a piece of garbage, took his money anyway as donations. This story as layers upon layers upon layers of delicious irony. So today I started at Cards Against Humanity in November 2016. After leaving a toxic work environment, friends had their concerns, but I naively believed that it couldn't be worse than where I just left, or so I thought. For the first few months, everything was normal. As I say normal, I mean standard, while meaning white people BS. People asking me if my hair is real, commenting on how often I change it, and this sorts of things. Yeah, those dang white people. Well, stuff hit the fan when I sent this message. It said, request, can we thread messages when possible? Okay, seems like an innocuous statement. The response I got from the Andrew Biggs and others, there was some ensuing madness where everyone piled on in this public Slack, including Max Temkin, who suggested my simple comment was not a polite request. So essentially, angry black woman. Yeah, I like how you went from 0 to 100. I mean, isn't it curious? Now, I am not surprised. And again, you, my beautiful, intelligent, smart viewers who maybe they didn't consider earlier in this video hitting that red subscribe button below the video, but now that I've complimented you, I hope that you'll just take a moment to do so. I'm literally dancing for you. Isn't it curious that people that seem to have problems on the job seem to have problems at every job? Now, a normal person might think that they're the problem. I mean, I don't know. You see here. Fun fact for anyone who doesn't like the hashtag some office thread, it is optional. Then we got, like, announcements is the only required one, right? Sandy confirmed in a thread, announcements is the only mandatory channel. Some office is not required. Do this what you want. I appreciate the info, Andrew, and I empathize with Teresa's point. It can get a bit disorganized. Thank you for this information. Forgive my request for a little digital etiquette. Threads suck in their own way. We can all admit it's all bad. Imagine being these people. Like, this is who would want to work for a gaming company. Did you get Max? Thanks, Trin. There's over 100 people who have been using this together for about 5 years. We're probably not going to make any dramatic changes immediately, but I'm open to respectful suggestions about ways to improve Slack. Let's stop arguing about it here. Whoa! Race is confirmed. Meanwhile, even though everyone piled onto the main channel, here's what happened in other threads. I was made fun of in random, and Andrew Biggs decided to send me a DM to apologize while simultaneously making fun of me in another DM. Yeah, you can't make fun of your coworkers anymore. You definitely don't want to visit a construction site and hear how those guys talk to each other. Or how about a union metal shop? See how those guys talk to each other. While all this was going on, I told all the women in our private Slack how they call themselves allies, yet no one stood up for me until I called them out. They also brushed off the racism from the developer, who we later hired, I think. After all this happened, was said was done, I was a social pariah to all of them. Some people who I've been working with for months stopped speaking to me. This is all for asking to thread conversations? What? Literally what? As a follow-up to this, I finally was brave enough to speak out. I sent this email to the office manager. Yes, brave, stunning and brave, sending an inter-office email. Gosh, I don't know how everyone gets by. Hey, Nick, I want to address an issue that's been nagging me in the office since I started, and I think now is the time to talk about it. I'll appreciate if we could keep this conversation between us for now and figure out if there's really a plan of action or any way to move forward. So I'm not sure if you saw or heard what happened on Friday in the Slack hashtag some office channel. Long story short, I made a simple polite request to use threading in the channel when possible. My thinking was that sometimes important things get buried in the channel when extremely large tangents happen, and I thought blah blah blah. When this happened was what happened so swiftly that I was shocked. Someone replied to the message in an aggressive manner, feeling empowered to be rude to me and the request I made. The response was essentially, if you don't like what's going on here, you can leave. Okay, so you send a big email, and instead of putting anything in writing, he asked me to meet him IRL. His response, well, tone is lost in digital communication. Yes, that's true. Let me ask others, all the other white people who piled on, how they felt about what happened. So, okay, I learned my lesson. I was all alone. Then this happened. Well, let me tell you, everyone members at CH Saves America, right? We initially were there, supposed to be a day dedicated to reparations. Oh my God, this is so good. This is so good. Imagine a company who's the poster child for, I would have voted for Obama a third time, talking about how they're going to redistribute wealth to the black people. That wealth, $20 for 400 years of abuse. Well, I had something to say about that. So I, along with a white coworker, wrote them to express why the day was problematic. So you can see the email responses below. Not only did they not address me, even though I signed it, Max tried to defend the day because the founders are Jewish and paid for their college and such from reparations from everything that happened to them and why it's important to them. Meanwhile, Nick does another IRL check-in to see how things are going, even though nothing has changed. No one I was talked to was even there for not even the obligatory. Maybe we should take D&I seriously. Nothing. This is just hilarious to me. Solidarity throughout your game. Got him. I mean, I love it. I mean, I think the company is run by some of the most vile humans on the planet. But, you know, we get an article now from Anita Sarkeesian, pointed out by Super Nerdland, by the way. Let me get this straight. She knew he was a bad person. She knew about terrible allegations. But Anita still took the money, and there's no mention of refunding it. Give back the dirty money, Anita, if they're bad people. And you see this. Ending my relationship with Cards Against Humanity and Max Temkin. Teresa Stewart's story, which she shared on Twitter in the past week, is just one of many stories I've heard from a whisper network of acquaintances, friends, and former employees about how bad the environment at Cards Against Humanity offices for women, particularly women of color. You're American. Spell it right. All right? Please read Teresa's thread, then come back. Yes, I did. In addition, there are stories, Teresa, there are many of former employees who have been intimidated to share publicly. There have also been a terrible struggle story about Max, to which he responded with to deflect blame and implicit threats. Here's a good analysis of problem with the apology. And I've been complicit in his harm. Remember when Gen Con paid her to go speak last year but banned me? Yeah, remember that? I heard about this, and after some time had passed, I continued to be friendly with him. I strongly advocate believing in women unless the men are giving you money. But in this particular instance, when it came time for me to uphold that principle and act accordingly, I failed. I have no excuse for that. As the executive director of a nonprofit, I accepted donations from Max and Cards Against Humanity. Max and I had been on each other's podcasts, and I occasionally sought him out for advice. I've stayed at his house, and I've worked out of the Cards Against Humanity office while in Chicago. Even though I felt conflicted about it, I kept doing it. Why? Money! Money, money, money. I looked around at our mutual friends and didn't see anyone else having a problem, so I gave my permission to think that there wasn't one. I did not realize that they were doing the same thing to me. They were looking at me, and since I didn't see a problem, they assumed there wasn't one. That was wrong. Back in 2014, when these things came up, there were people who spoke up. Various news outlets reported the story, and XOXO Festival permanently banned Max from attendance. Last year, Carta Monnier bravely spoke at the event, an event at CH office, and confronted the team directly in their own house, calling out Max and the complicity of everyone around him. As Teresa Stewart points out, when this bad behavior is not limited to those who speak out about this allegation, workplace bad behavior and gaslighting is part of the culture at Cards Against Humanity. This is what happens. Like, you cater to people who are always looking for the worst in people. You cater to people who, like, are legitimately insane. And this is what happens. And I couldn't have happened to a better company. I mean, the people that run Cards Against Humanity are, they all have me blocked on Twitter because I've made fun of them in the past. They're right. In November 2019, I confronted Max about the story and told him that I was being a hypocrite by associating with him and not living by my feminist principles by continuing our friendship. I told him that if he genuinely wanted to work towards repairing the harm he'd caused, I would try to help. Otherwise, we could no longer be acquainted. Oh, he must have stopped donating you money. Max told me that he wanted to do whatever he could to keep our relationship intact. I urged him to take a couple of days to reflect and then get back to me. I never heard from him again. Instead, he unfollowed me and blocked me on social media. Oh, it's so delicious. Oh, delicioso. I truly believe in transformative justice and that people who have caused harm should be given the opportunity to mend that harm and work towards being better in the future. But Max has demonstrated none of these actions. That's right. He has not repented. Now, at no point has Anita Sarkeesian given back that money, though. If you are friendly with Max, reflect on your own complicity in maintaining a relationship with someone who has caused harm, allegedly, by the way. If you have business ties with Max, Cards Against Humanity, or Chicago Board Game Cafe, as Teresa urged you, now is the time to break ties with them. This will not be merely a symbolic gesture. Max benefits greatly from the power and status of those who continue to associate with him. By breaking ties, we actually reduce the amount of social power he wields. What a compelling story for cancel culture. Maybe Feminist Frequency should refund that money. In 2017, they had a fundraiser held by Cards Against Humanity. I mean, Zoe Quinn, as I recall, helped Max write up his call-out apology back in 2014. Anita claims to know he was banned from events and considered problematic till last year. Then suddenly she goes, oh no, being friends with you is bad for my brand. These people are all liars, they're all hoaxes, and they're all just unhappy with their own lives and projected on everyone else. Maybe there really was some bad behavior at Cards Against Humanity. Maybe. But it sure seems that people that have problems in the workplace seem to have them everywhere they work. And you start to wonder, maybe it's not everyone around you. Maybe it's you. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.